This is a demonstration of the SLC Educator Dashboards. It is based on the version of the software currently released into production in both our sandbox and our pilot site environments. And we'll be going through a number of different items today. The first will be logging into the portal, in our case the sandbox, where we have some test data available in order to access the dashboards. A couple of different views available through the dashboard. Custom configuration of the dashboards by states or districts, where you can find the source code of the dashboard application, and finally how to reach support for any of these topics. To begin with, we're going to log into the sandbox portal, and this will be a little bit different if you're logging into the pilot site production portal. But not much. I'm logging into my account, and we're going to take a look at an educator view of the portal. So we have now logged in as Mr. Charles Gray, a high school teacher. This is the SLC portal as seen through our sandbox. And you'll note that Mr. Gray has one application available to run, and that's the SLC dashboards. So we're going to do that. To begin with, the dashboard is going to start up with a list of students, including selectors for the sections of the students that the teacher wants to see. So here we see that Mr. Gray works for the Daybreak School District. That's his only choice under the district selector. He works at Daybreak Central High School. He teaches an American Literature course. And in this case, based on the data we have loaded, it tells us he has only one section that he's currently teaching. So we're going to choose his current section. And in a moment, we will see the list of students in that section. So by default, we have available a fairly simple view of the students in Mr. Gray's section. And the column headings, like the student name, respond as expected by sorting in ascending or descending order when clicking on the column heading. This might be useful if we're looking at students who've been absent a few times. Click it again to sort in reverse order. And at the top are the students who've been absent the most times in this section. There's a filter option available that will allow me to choose only those students, for example, who are in the English Language Learner program. And here we see that 3 of the students in Mr. Gray's section are ELL participants. Turning off the filter again displays all of the students in this class. We're going to take a look at one of them, Carmen Ortiz. And at this point, when selecting a specific student, we will see the student profile. So here is the default student profile for the student I've selected, Carmen Ortiz. It has her contact information, her own, as well as her primary contact, in this case her father and her mother. And scrolling down, we see her entire enrollment history from the current semester all the way back to second grade. In this case, we don't have any data loaded for attendance and discipline or assessment results, but we do have data loaded for transcript history. And this is showing the last 6 semesters. We can expand one or all of them to look at her course grades in each of the last 6 semesters, as well as her cumulative GPA at each point. Now we're going to look at this from the perspective of a different teacher who happens to be an elementary school teacher. And this is Ms. Rebecca Braverman, the teacher. She also has the SLC dashboard available to her in the portal. And in this case, she has 4 different courses, which happen to be just homeroom courses at the elementary level. And I'm going to take a look at the list of students in her first grade homeroom. So again, the default view is the only one available, and it's a very simple view of attendance information for this section, for the students in this section. Again, we have filtering available, and we also have searching available. Where we can type either the first name or last name of the student and jump right to that student without having to find the name of the student in one of the section lists. Okay, so this is very similar information that we saw at the high school level, but this is the elementary overview. Enrollment history goes back just to kindergarten. We have no data loaded for attendance or assessments or grades at this point, at this level for this student. Now the SLC dashboards get a little bit more interesting when we load a custom configuration. This custom configuration is going to change the data that's displayed on each of the screens, and we'll look at an example of the results of that. So an IT administrator for the district or the state will have the ability not only to run the applications as our teachers did, but also will be able to administer them and change the application configuration for the dashboard. I'm going to copy and paste a custom configuration that I've had developed. Save it in there. And this is a fairly complex representation of what the dashboards will now look like when we view them from the teacher's perspective. So I'm going to log out from the administrator account. Sign in as Mr. Gray, the high school teacher again. And now take a look at the dashboard for his American Literature section. You should now see that there is color coding and a few more columns available besides a count of the number of absences. We now have the attendance rate. And again, these columns are all sortable by clicking on the column header. In addition to the attendance data, we now have a second view of the section, which is a college-ready English language arts view, which is appropriate for this American Literature class. Now you can see that our custom configuration has completely developed this new screen. And it now shows ACT scores in the first column, grades for the last 2 semesters of English classes, as well as the attendance figures that we saw in the previous view. Again, each column is sortable in ascending and descending order. And for each student, we can select the student and again see the full view of information available about that student. Here again is contact information, enrollment history. Our custom dashboard configuration now has assessment data being displayed on the Assessments tab for the student. A couple of English test results. And then transcript information, which we saw before. We're going to log out of the high school teacher's account and go back into the elementary school teacher's account. We'll take a look at Ms. Braverman's first grade class again. Now you'll see the results of the custom dashboard configuration again with the same attendance statistics. And at the elementary level, we now have an early literacy view showing that the dashboards reflect the context of who is using them at what grade level and in what subject. In this case, we have a little bit more information available, or that could be displayed here if we had the sample data to support it. Let's try again, this time at a junior high school level. This is Mrs. Kim, an 8th grade teacher. We're going to take a look at her 8th grade English section. And now we see, in addition to the standard attendance data, we now have a middle school English language arts view. And the sample data we have loaded very much supports this view with different state readings assessment results, state writing assessment results, current grades, which happen to be from the last unit test in Mrs. Kim's English class, and the final grades from the last 2 semesters in English. Again, each column is sortable. She can easily see which students have had difficulty on the last unit test. The custom configuration that I loaded has been developed as an example, and the SLC has templates and tools and support available to help states and districts define their own dashboard views, as you've seen here. Please contact the SLC for that information. For those organizations and developers who may wish to extend or enhance the functionality of the dashboard application beyond what is configurable, the source code of the application is available. To the developer site, which is called dev.slcedu.org. Getting started. projects. And here you'll see listed all of the source code for the applications that have been made available to date. One of them being the Educator Dashboard, and clicking on that takes us right to the site where we can download the source code and have a developer modify it for our own purposes. So that's an introduction to the SLC Educator Dashboards, how they can be configured, what their default view is, and where to find the source code. For any additional questions, please contact your pilot site support representative, either via email at support@slcedu.org or give us a call at area code 530-4-SLCEDU. Thank you very much.